Hello, good afternoon, and be welcome to this video, which we are going to talk about the summary of the 13th colony era, remembering the most important facts.
Then we have New Hampshire. Well, people from New Plymouth started to settle on the northern lands that became the colony of New Hampshire as early as 1623, although 18 years before, a group of English colonists had tried to establish a colony called Popham Plantation. Seen here a few years later, the English government handed over a huge tract of land that included this area to two men, Ferdinando Georges and John Manson. Soon the pair divided the land in half, the land to the north of the Picatawa River, that is today Maine, went to Georges Mason. A bit further north and present-day Maine, but their attempt failed within a year. The first successful English settlement in this region occurred when Plymouth colonist David Thompson began trading furs and fishing near the mouth of the Picatawa River, got all the land to the south, and named it New Hampshire. And its economy was based on trading iron, meat, and lumber. Maryland. Maryland is a southern colony. It was founded as a British province in 1632. Its charter being granted to Cecilius Calvert, Duke of Baltimore. St. Mary was the first settlement, and it was called that by the governor Calvert, who even asked the citizens to build a church so that both Protestants and Catholics could worship their church. In addition, people made money from cash crops such as rice, sugar, cane, and tobacco. Although later they couldn't sell everything because things were very scarce. Even finding workers was increasingly difficult, so they found them in Africa, who were first to become slaves. Even their children would become slaves too. So at the end of 17th century, many African slaves were taken to work on plantations near the Chesapeake Bay. Connecticut. The colony of Connecticut lay to the west of Rhode Island and was founded in 1636. At the same time, Rhode Island was being founded, but before the English ever arrived in the region, a non-English colony, New Netherland, had owned and claimed the land west of the Connecticut River. In fact, in 1633, Dutch forters established an outpost here that same year a Puritan from Massachusetts, and started the town of Wethersfield to the south. As more English people arrived from Massachusetts, the Dutch gave up their trading post on the river, and English settlers built the town of Hartford. There is now the capital of the state of Connecticut in 1636. These three towns united to form the original Connecticut. Plus, like New Hampshire, the economy of Connecticut was based on rice, sugarcane, and tobacco. This because it belongs to the Northern United States and New England Division. Declaration of Independence. The United States Declaration of Independence was a document written in 1776 that proclaimed the separation of the 13 colonies from Great Britain, establishing the United States as an independent nation. This declaration helped inspire similar movements around the world and laid the foundation for the formation of a democratic republic in North America.
The Massachusetts colony was founded in 1620 by the Pilgrims of the Mayflower in Plymouth. It stood out for its government based on Puritan theocracy, led by John Winthrop. The colony was a center of the Protestant Reformation and the first to establish compulsory public education. Boston became its main city and an important commercial port. Massachusetts was a bastion of the American Revolution, being the scene of events such as the Boston Tea Party and the Boston Massacre. Virginia, founded in 1607 at Jamestown as the first permanent English settlement in North America, played a pivotal role in the 13 colonies era, serving as a major economic powerhouse due to its tobacco plantations, fostering the establishment of the House of Burgesses in 1619 as the first representative assembly, and becoming a focal point of revolutionary activity and leadership, ultimately contributing significantly to the American Revolution and the foundation of the United States. The colony of New York during the era of the 13 colonies was initially established by the Dutch in the 17th century as New Amsterdam. In 1664, the British captured it and renamed it New York in honor of the Duke of York. It was an important commercial center and a strategic point due to its location at the mouth of the Hudson River. The colony experienced significant demographic growth due to immigration and became a melting pot of cultures. Ethnic and religious diversity was a distinctive feature of the colony. Additionally, New York played a crucial role in the American Revolution and became one of the founding states of the United States in 1788.
Delaware lies off the Atlantic Ocean, and it's bordered by Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland, originally inhabited by Algonquian tribes. Delaware's first permanent white settlement was by Swedes at Fort Christina, now Wilmington, and 1638. In 1655, New Sweden was taken by the Dutch of New Amsterdam, and in 1664 by the English. Delaware was thereafter a part of New York until 1682, when it was ceded to William Penn. The beginning of the American Revolution is situated in the context of the growing tensions between the American colonies and the British metropolis. During the 1760s and early 1770s, Rhode Island. It is bordered by Massachusetts on the north and east and the Connecticut on the west. Rhode Island Sound on the south is the basis of the state fishing industry. The original inhabitants of the area were Narragansett Indians. The first European settlement was in 1636 by Roger Williams and his followers, who were banished from Massachusetts. In 1663, King Charles II granted a Charter Williams. The American Revolutionary War was a conflict that pitted the original 30 British colonies in North America against the Kingdom of Great Britain. It occurred between 1775 and 1783. ended with the British defeat at the Battle of Yorktown and the signing of the Treaty of Paris. Great Britain won over France in the 7 Years' War 1756 and 1763, receiving great economy and military aid from the colonies, although this collaboration was not rewarded. The repressive measures of the English government produced after operations such as the Boston Tea Party and the sections on the Interval Acts caused the beginning of the War of Independence.
The causes of the Independence Declaration. It is divided in three important causes. So the first is Stamp Act in 1765. Uh, that means it required that many printed materials in the colonies be produced on stamp paper produced in London and via a tax stamp. The second is uh, Townshend Act in 1767. Imposed taxes on essential goods imported into the colonies, such as glass, paper, and tea, for example. And the last one and third is the Tea Act in 1773. Gave the British East India Company a monopoly on the tea trade in the colonies, leading to the famous Boston Tea Party.
The independence of the United States was a complex process. It started because the 13 colonies were unhappy with British rules. The situation got worse with events like the Boston Tea Party, where colonies protested against British taxes. This showed growing resistance. The tension led the start of the American Revolutionary War, where colonists fought against Britain. The war was officially supported by the Declaration of War document, showing the colonists wanted to break away from Britain. The end of the war and the creation of a new independent nation began the American Revolution. This change not only affect the United States, but also inspired another independence movement around the world. The colonies of North Carolina and South Carolina were two of the original 13 colonies founded by the British in North America. They were part of the province of Carolina, which was a large colony given by the King Charles II. Because it was hard to govern such a big area with different people. The province was split in 1712 into North Carolina and South Carolina. Each colony de- develops its own way of life and government. South Carolina had an agricultural economy with crops like tobacco. Its rough terrain led to the creation of small family farms. South Carolina, however, had big plantations of rice and indigo, worked by African slaves. The city of Charleston became an important trade port and economic center. These economic differences also shaped their societies. North Carolina has more equal social structure with four large landowners. In contrast, South Carolina's plantation economic created a wealthy elite and more divided society. Both colonies were important in historical conflicts, such as wars against Native Americans and the War of Independence. North Carolina was the city of the Battle of Morse Creek Bridge, while South Carolina played a key role in the Battle of Charleston. Today, North Carolina and South Carolina are lively states with a rich history that influence their culture and economy.
Well, about New Jersey colony in early exploration and settlement, it was explored by Giovanni de Verrazzano in 1524, sorry, and Henry Hudson in 1609. Transition to English control. English Caesar, taken by the English in 1664, about land grant given to Sir George and Lord John Berkeley to Duke of the York. About the division and reunification of the New Jersey colony, East and West Jersey was divided in 1674. East Jersey settled by Puritans and Scots, West Jersey by Quakers. Reunification. It was reunited as a single royal colony in 1702 for better administration. Talking about the development and economy, the agriculture was very important and trade, known for farming, that includes grain, vegetables, livestock, and central trade location between New York and Philadelphia. Its population were attached Dutch, Swedes, Finns, Scots, English, and various religious groups to tolerance policies. In the society, the social structure was egalitarian with many small farmers, indentured servants, and enslaved Africans. Um, Post-revolution, New Jersey continued growth and development, contributing significantly to the early United States. New Jersey's history highlights its strategic importance, diverse population, and critical role in the American Revolution. So let's check Pennsylvania. The purpose was founded as a haven for Quakers and other religious minorities facing persecution in England. In Pennsylvania, population diversity was attached settlers from various backgrounds, including Quakers, Germans, Pennsylvania Dutch, Scots, Irish, and other European groups seeking religious freedom and economic opportunity. Philadelphia was founded by William Penn in 1682. It became a major port and one of the most important cities in this colonial America. About the governance and society, it was provided a framework for self-governance uh, with freedom and establishing an elected assembly. Quakers has incredible influence, and the colony was notable for its proposed attitudes towards pacifism and fair treatment of Native Americans. Its economy was agriculture and trade. Fertile soil made in agriculture hub, producing wheat, corn, and other crops. Philadelphia became a bustling center for trade of commerce. In its industry was also developed early industrial activities, including milling, shipbuilding, and iron production. Role in the American Revolution. The role in American Revolution was political activity. That means in Pennsylvania was a center of revolutionary activity. The first and second Continental Congresses were held in Philadelphia, leading to the signing to the Declaration of Independence in 1776. Summary of the colony of Georgia during the 13 colonies era. First, the purpose. It was founded as a buffer state to protect the Carolinas from Spanish Florida and as a social experiment to provide a fresh start for England's poor and in-depth. Now, the settlement and development. First settlement was Savannah. It was established in 1733 by Oglethorpe and a group of settlers. The initial policy was that it was provide slavery and limited land ownership to prevent the rise of plantation and social inequalities. Its governance and society was by a group of trustees with Oglethorpe as de facto leader. Trustees banned slavery, run, and Catholicism. Transition to royal colony in 1752, Georgia became a royal colony due to economic difficulties and governance challenges. Restrictions on slavery and land ownership were lifted to attract more settlers. Its economy was in agriculture. Initially, it struggled with the cultivation of traditional European crops, and later was rice, indigo, and eventually cotton became successfully cash crops, especially after the introduction of slavery. Its trade was involved with benefited from trade with Native Americans and the other colonies. The port of Savannah became a key center for trade and export. Talking about population, early settlers included English devotees, European refugees, including Salzburgers from Germany, and with highlight Scots and various religious groups seeking their freedom. The role in the American Revolution of Georgia was initially had a significant loyalist presence due to its young age and economic ties to Britain. Constitutional role played a role in the discussions. Georgia's history is characterized by its strategic purpose as a buffer state, its early social experiments with land and labor, and its eventual growth into a plantation economy. It played a complex role in the American Revolution and quickly integrated into the new United States.
In the late 18th century, the American colonies were in conflict with Britain over increasing taxes and lack of representation in Parliament. One of the most unpopular taxes was the tea tax, established by the Tea Act of 1773. The Tea Act of 1773 granted the British East India Company a monopoly on tea in the colonies, allowing it to sell tea at low prices but retaining the tax. This infuriated the colonists, who saw the act as an attempt by Britain to impose economic and political control. In Boston, a group of patriots known as the Sons of Liberty, led by Samuel Adams, began planning
a drastic response on December 16 of 1773. They decide to take action. That night, dozens of colonies, this was as Native American, to hide their identities, boarded three British ships in Boston. They are Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver. With efficiency and determination, they dumped 342 chests of tea into the sea, equivalent to millions of dollars today. The news of the event quickly reached England, where British authorities reacted with fury. In response, the British Parliament passed the Interval Act in 1774, closing Boston Harbor and severely restricting in the autonomy of colonies. Uh, Far from quelling the rebellion, the Interval Acts uh, united the colonies against Britain even more. In September 1774, the First Continental Congress was equipped, where colonial leaders coordinate their resistance. This helped start the American Revolution. Today, we remember the Boston Tea Party as a brave act. It shows that people can stand up for their rights.